Good morning, Gabe Roberts from Back to Nature Lifestyle Medicine. With my recent interview with the paleocardiologist, I thought I'd give you a video representation today of what actually is going on with a lipid panel, because many doctors don't read these anymore. Cholesterol, LDL, serum, triglycerides, and then what I consider to be the true silent killers here are written in red. So again, cholesterol is not the problem. And if you look at these studies, the Framingham study, and some of the other things the paleocardiologist Dr. Jack Wolfson and I discussed, problems arise when cholesterol gets too low. So you want to make sure you understand that cholesterol is not the problem. Some of these closer things that I'm going to describe are what you want to watch out for. Now, when it comes to HDL, which is your good cholesterol, there's plenty of ways to raise that. You want that as high as possible. First off, cutting out your carbohydrates, cutting out your breads, your rices, your cereals, your pastas, all your sugar. Exercise, okay? Again, minimize any kind of interaction with sugar. Stay active, exercise regularly, and if that's too much, just go for a good brisk walk on an average of 5 days a week. Walking, I've done a lot of research on this. Walking is one of the best exercises for human health you can possibly do. And then maybe a little bit of niacin, okay? Some pharmaceutical grade niacin is fantastic for raising HDL, okay? Now, LDL. This is your bad cholesterol, but it has a bad rep because there's a lot of misinformation and misinterpretation of it. So you want to make sure you know the characteristics of LDL. And there's two patterns. Part A, which is the big, puffy, buoyant ones, are actually good. Part B are the smaller, more dense ones, and those are bad. They can plug you up pretty quickly. How to reduce those? Same things. Make a long story short, people are eating too many carbs when your LDL and your triglycerides are way too high. So you gotta reach more of a paleo type diet, okay? Meat and vegetables, lots of good fats. You wanna cut out the grains, you wanna cut out the carbohydrates, cut out the breads and all that other stuff, because they will contribute to this pattern here, and they'll raise your triglycerides up very quickly, and those two things can cause you to have a cardiovascular accident, okay? So now lipoprotein A. This is a pure genetic one. Lipoprotein A is a very dangerous one. I see a ton of these. I had a guy in here 2 weeks ago, and he's in the 315s, and he's got tight chest and pinpoint pain. I'll give you a little clue about lipoprotein A, okay? Purely genetic. There's no medication for it. There's nothing you can do to modify it when it gets high. A little bit of fat can kind of help reduce it. Sugar will raise it. You can actually increase your lipoprotein A substantially by eating a really high sugar diet. So if you go somewhere for the weekend and you're just eating a bunch of crazy junk food that you normally would not do, lots of sugar, you can raise this up very quickly. And if it gets over 30, you can be in serious trouble. Lipoprotein A is the genetic clotting factor that still hurts. It hurts after bypasses. That's a good clue. It has chest pain, okay? Difficulty breathing. People sometimes don't even know this, so a good simple way to test how your heart's doing and how well it's functioning, carry a bag of groceries, carry something heavy, and try to go up a couple flights of stairs. If you can't make it at least 3 flights of stairs because you're exhausted, your heart is plugged up. As a quick assessment to just see how that's going. Lipoprotein A, nothing affects it, no drugs for it. You must know exactly how to metabolize this out nutritionally, and we can tell you that we have great results getting that lipoprotein down. Homocysteine, okay, the range, you want this under 10. A healthy homocysteine number is under 10. There's a lot of lab tests out there that have the range between 0 and 15, and I know of people that have had heart attacks at 11, so that's actually not accurate. You want that homocysteine under 10. This is a methylation problem, okay? An MTHFR defect is more than likely causing you not to convert your folate into B12 or your folic acid into B12, and then what happens is homocysteine will start rising, and if it gets above 12, 15, and the 20 ranges, you're in big trouble, big trouble. Completely escapes traditional medicine. Most doctors have no idea what these things even are. Okay, fibrinogen, that is something that needs to be within a nice range. Okay, fibrinogen is a protein that promotes clotting in the blood. And you can have too little and be a bleeder, and you can have too much and you can be a clotter, okay? Think of fibrinogen as little wire meshes floating around the blood. And if you get an injury, if you get a cut and something starts bleeding out, if you notice over time it slows down, then it kind of stops and your body starts to form a scab. Well, that is these little wire meshes starting to kind of build up and collectively stop the bleeding process, okay? That is fibrinogen. Again, if you have too much, you can clot and have a cardiovascular accident. If you have too little, you can bleed excessively if you do get a cut or an injury. So keep that in mind. C-reactive protein. C-reactive protein, this is the two I's, infection or inflammation. You want to keep an eye on this because this is very dangerous. This can plug a person up very quickly. Injuries. You get a broken arm or something like that. If you get a really nasty case of the flu, or if you have an infection, that can rise that right up. I have people coming in the 50s in the CRP. The scale 0 to 3. When they're in the 50s, that person is a walking time bomb. Inflammation and infection. And of course, those two things are affecting the entire population today. Everyone's full of inflammation because of our standard American diet is completely full of all the wrong oils. And most of the oils they're using, they don't change out as often as they should. So there's some rancid, exposure we get. And these wrong fats can absolutely plug you up very quickly. The other part's infection. Well, everyone we know is exposed to this glyphosate. That's the active ingredient in Roundup, and that's compromising your microbiome and making your gut membrane very susceptible to infection. Your gut membrane is completely compromised today, so everyone's walking around with infection. These are the things you want to be aware of and look at very well when you run a blood test, okay? I hope this helps. To get back to your vibrant state of health, you have to get back to your roots, back to nature. You have to love yourself, okay? Thanks for listening.